Hey everyone, welcome to a 17 Shard interview. I am Eric, and joining me is Evgeny.
You just said how you weren't going to go into Shardcast intro, and my brain just still...
Well, the name intros are going to be the same, Evgeny.
No, I hear you. Like, I know, and I don't disagree, but like my brain still went, wait, this is not how this thing goes.
Yeah.
Hi, I am Argent on some places on the internet.
And today we have the lovely Carly of Dragonwoodshop, who made this lovely... Oh, wow, these studio lights not working well with this, but that's fine. You can see all the reflections of my many screens here, but that's fine.
Ishar.
Yeah.
Jezrien.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
it's funny you do that though, because like I'm probably one of the few people who knows where all of these are supposed to be located because of how many I've put together.
Right.
And I have a whole chant as I'm putting in the different like slots and stuff. I'm like chanting the names.
You gotta go. Yeah. I can totally believe that.
It has to go in the same order.
It has to. Yeah, you have to go 1 through 10. You'd have to. Yeah, exactly.
Also this thing.
And the wit box.
And the wit box.
Yep.
As you can clearly see, the wit design.
Yeah.
I just put together 46 of those the other day.
Look at this great box. It's very shiny.
Woo, so shiny.
Well, I mean, this is the issue with shiny glass, like
acrylic, glass, etc. Yeah.
Which face do you have on for your wit coin?
I always have wit on the front. Wit's always on the front. I'll probably make a second one at some point to have the other coin be on the back. But actually, I have this one up here, and I have another set downstairs. Because Dragonsteel gifted me a set of coins as a thank you at one point. And so I've got one up here and one downstairs as a conversation point.
Nice.
Yes.
Because yeah, the reflecting glass, these could never work for podcast background. Back when I had the Almantic and Ferricum, I had to get it custom with matte glass, specifically for the lighting and things.
Oh, interesting. So I might have to look into that.
Yeah, I used art2frames.com, and they had like a matte glass thing, and like you still see, like if you point the light to it, you can still see that there's a light pointing to it, but like you can't like just see the reflection of everything in the universe there. So
yeah, I'll have to look into that.
But as you can see, we are very happy with our coin cases from the Way of Kings
they also
Kickstarter.
Like no one tells you that, but they smell really nice.
That's so funny that you say that. Because my husband has grown sick of the smell.
I mean, that's pretty plausible.
When you're immediately cutting these things, because you know it's plywood and acrylic, it's very stinky.
Right.
So the door is always closed, and I've rolled up like a blanket to go underneath the door so it blocks anything coming out.
Right.
And he'll still occasionally go in there and flip on like the air purifier that we have in there. He's like, it stinks. I'm like, no, it doesn't. He's like, your nose is broken.
Well, you're just too used to it, probably.
Yeah, I'm used to it. Well, and I've always liked the smell of burning wood, and burning plywood's a little bit different. Well, a lot of bit different, but once it's kind of faded a bit, it is pretty nice.
Yeah, it genuinely feels like it's not similar in any way, but it feels kind of in the same family as like the smell of old books. There's something about this.
I will take that
dry smell that I really like. So you should buy these things.
Yes, and you can buy these, but not for much longer, because Carly has a very limited license for these, and you can buy these up through the end of December. 10 p.m.
So 10 p.m. because Eastern. I don't want to accidentally hit midnight, and I'm not staying up until midnight to shut down orders. I'm sorry.
So I thought you were going off like mountain time, as if the contract went off at mountain time or something.
No, they consider it midnight my time.
Okay.
Is the cutoff, but I'm cutting it off at 10 p.m. December 31st because I want to go to sleep. And I'm sorry, but if you're also buying stuff on New Year's Eve, why?
Maybe reconsider your life choices.
Maybe.
and those remaining orders will ship out after 2022, but after that, you never again will you be able to get one of these cases. They are $125 for this and the whip box, which is, obviously not cheap, but it's handmade. So what are you gonna do? Right. And they're very high quality.
I could delve into the minutia of how much it actually costs and how that cost has risen. And so you really are getting the whip box for free.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I don't know if I should.
I mean, we could totally get into that, but
they really look really good on a shelf somewhere.
They really do.
Thank you.
I was going to point, but the pointing was an invitation for you to point because yours is more into
shelf.
Ultimately, if you need, if you backed the Way of Kings Kickstarter and you have all the swag like Evgeny and I do, and need,
me too.
Yeah,
we only have one copy of each,
and need to store those coins in a swanky case, I would highly recommend. I definitely think it is worth the money. So we wanted to have you on to tell people about this and talk about the process of this cool item. I know we've mentioned this on the show before, and you are a commenter on Shardcast and a patron. So that's cool too.
Yes.
But we are very happy with these. So
thank you.
Oh, you can.
Yes.
You can still purchase these coins on Brandon's store.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they were available, then they were sold out, and they totally bought like tons more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I have a link to it on my product page as well. That if you scroll down in the product description, you'll see you can buy the coins at Dragonsteel. I've had multiple people ask if the display comes with the coins, so I had to make sure to clarify that and direct people where to get them.
Okay. So you can get individual coins for 15 monies.
Oh, so if you want the coins, they're $150 for all of them. So that's kind of
that was also kind of the nice thing about backing the Kickstarter was we got them for I think it was like 100.
I don't remember. I didn't even really pay much attention. I was like, there's pins and things. I'm like, give me all the
shiny
swag.
Clinkies.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm paying the 500.
I can't wait to put all of these things in my drawer.
I literally have a stack of the swag, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with this. Like, I see you have the Radiant art pieces in your background, Carly.
Yeah. I've got the Radiant pieces. Let's see if we can actually turn that a little bit. So I've got the art pieces.
And the patches.
I stuck the patches, and I got, the one patch that I was missing through their store. And so it's a 12 by 18 frame from Walmart, one of those ones that you popped the glass out of the front.
Right.
I stuck a piece of felt back there, and then I double-sided taped the patches in place and then just put the glass back in. And it actually works really great.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And then I've got,
You are going to need more wall, come next year.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to do this for every Stormlight book and have so much swag that I don't know what I'm going to do with patches and stickers. Those are just going to sit in a drawer. I got to be honest.
Yeah, we've got our stickers. Our stickers are just somewhere sandwiched in these books right now.
Yeah, easy.
If Brandon has taught me anything, it's that the solution to this problem is to go and buy my neighbor's house and then use that house.
That's true.
There you go.
Support our Patreon so Evgeny can buy his neighbor's house, or I can buy my neighbor's house.
Sorry, neighbor.
Yeah.
Well, we've got another wall over there that right now only has a couple of framed puzzles on it, and I just bought another bookshelf. So bookshelf's going to go over there next because we've got how many books coming within the next year? We've got the 4 secret projects. We've got the Lost Metal. We've got. I've also got other book series that I'm reading that more books are coming out. Slowly collecting
Defiant next year.
Slowly collecting the hardcovers of all the Warrior Cat books. So that's going to be huge.
Nice. Yeah, you gotta have a lot of bookcases.
Yes. Well, and as you can see, a lot of it's taken up by my kiddos' Lego pieces.
Those are great.
Oh yeah, no, actually, so my 9-year-old, she will sit there for hours. Like, she won't do this with anything else except for the mega constructs. And she'll just build them. And they're like 800, 900 piece things. And
Not
she
a
just sits.
short endeavor.
Yeah. No, like, I'm proud of her. But I mean, we've also got how many other collectibles coming, and the Year of Sanderson, got God of War coming in a month.
Yeah, because there's all the swag and all the boxes, right?
Yes,
in each of those. So, like,
Yep.
what's that going to be? We don't know, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
There'll be unboxing videos, though, for the channel. Don't you worry.
I'm going to be doing those too.
Oh, perfect. Well, you can go to our competitor. Yeah.
And check out 17th Shard, because they've been doing this a lot longer than me.
Oh yeah, we do so many unboxing videos.
Yeah.
We literally did one, and it's kind of hard to do those. And I was not ultimately pleased. And we were gonna do an unboxing for like tarot cards, I think, and we still have them in its box. We've never opened them. So maybe like 2 years after they come out, we'll be like, here's a totally on time unboxing. So many people are gonna look at this.
Here's something you haven't been able to purchase in 3 years.
No, but we'll show it off. But anyway, tell us a bit about how this coin display case came to be. You saw the Kickstarter, obviously, and like us, backed it.
Yes, was madly refreshing and trying to get in. I think I was like in the top 50 of backers or something like that.
Also, you were early enough to experience the Kickstarter crash.
Yes, it was so slow. Oh my gosh. Right. I'm like, refresh. And it's like, can't do it, refresh. Nope, not doing it. I'm like, work.
That was legitimately stressful, actually. Yeah.
And Kickstarter was like, guys, what did you do? I don't know. We launched a Kickstarter. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
So Kickstarter launched, backed it. Backed it before even looking at what everything was, because they had already shared what a lot of the images were going to be. So, which I like when bigger companies are like, we're not trying to hide people. We want to let you know what we're planning. So here's the images. And so I was like, sweet, I know exactly what I want. So, got the pledge in and started, thinking about like, well, I mean, I'm getting these things. What am I going to do with this stuff? Like, I'm a pin collector, so I already have a pin board. That was easy. I don't really know what I'm going to do with the stickers, so they're just kind of on the shelf. But I was like, these coins are awesome, and I love challenge coins. I have, a couple of them. Like, one of my most favorite ones is this one that's from like the Thor fan event. It was the Thor Ragnarok fan event. So I was really excited. I was like, I know I want to have some kind of display. And so then I was thinking about it. I was like, the double eye of the almighty art has all the radiant symbols and all of that. And I was like, I wonder if I can translate this into wood. And so I did. And the first iteration is horrendous, and I love it. I don't think I actually have it anymore, which is maybe a little bit of shame on me, but I have photos, so it's okay. It existed at some point. I shared it up onto the comments. And this was also before I even had a Reddit account. So someone's like, can I share this on Reddit? And I was like, I guess. I was at the point I was like, what's Reddit? I mean, I knew of it, but I'd never used it, didn't have an account.
Right.
So someone shared it onto Reddit. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I should probably make a Reddit account and see what people are saying. And people are like, oh, this is so cool. And so in the Kickstarter comments and in some of the Reddit comments, and I think I was in one of the Discords, maybe not. People are like, can I buy this? And I was like, people want to buy my stuff? This is like, I mean, I've sold things in the past, but people want this?
But
I was
it's
like,
my stuff. No.
Yeah, well, I mean, a little bit, because I was like, this is supposed to be for me. But then I was like, let me ask. Because my husband and I, we have a policy of it never hurts to ask. Because if you never ask, it's always a no.
True.
So I reached out to Dragonsteel. I think it was through their contact forms. Like, can I sell this, on open market? I see that your fan art policy says that, you need permission or whatever. And they're like, so because it uses, the herald symbols and all of that, they're like, no, but you can try to get a license. So then I had to do a deep dive into the FAQ section on fan art of who do I contact. And I sent an email to the correct person, not realizing that it says don't attach a picture, otherwise we won't open it. So like a week later, I was like, I made a mistake. So I sent another email to the guy, and he's like, okay, thank you for sending your email. We have received it. I'm going to put you in the hands of the person who actually covers merchandising. And Valentina has been fantastic to work with. She's the merchandising liaison between Dragonsteel and Jabberwocky is the company that kind of handles his IP and stuff.
Yeah, his agent. For people who don't know.
And I think the website says, "Hey, go email Joshua."
And he'll put you Bilms. He'll put you in contact with whoever would be handling the thing that you're trying to submit. And so that process took months, though, of communicating with Valentina and communicating with Dragonsteel and getting emails back. And they had various questions for me. And we finally got to the point that Valentina was like, okay, I need you to send a prototype to Dragonsteel at this address. And I need you to send a prototype to me at this address. And I was like, okay, yeah. And oh my gosh, it was nuts for like the next 48 hours because I was like, okay, I need to get a little bit more wood because I used like wood that was just on hand and I didn't have any more of it. So I was like, okay, back onto Etsy. I got to order this wood from this local guy. And so that actually is a whole separate relationship that ended up working really well. Finding this local company that only like 2 hours from me who cuts wood down to the right size.
Oh,
this was also when I was on my Glowforge. So things were very, very slow running on the Glowforge laser cutter machine.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know what that was. So the specific laser cutter machine.
Yeah, that's the machine that I was on at first. And it's very slow as compared to a more business oriented laser machine. But anyway, so I was like, okay, I need some wood. I was like, can you ship it out today? So it can be here within 2 days. He's like, I can actually meet with you tomorrow afternoon and give you the wood directly so we don't have to worry about shipping. It can get to you as quickly as possible. And I was like, thank you. And then my husband's like, hey, you should probably also let him know that this might be a thing. So I drafted up this whole proposal. I was like, I might be buying like 10,000 pieces of wood from you. And I handed him the piece of paper. When we're handing off the wood, he's giving me the wood. And he's like, what? I was like, okay, I'm sorry, but like I got this project coming up and it's going to be great. I was like, I'm hoping to start it in like the next couple months. It took like 6 months later. And he totally looked like at first he didn't believe me. I wouldn't have believed me either if I'd been approached with someone like, I'm buying 10,000 units. Sure you are. And so I got the wood and I rushed through making two more displays. And these initial displays were also hand glued. So that was a mess. Trying to get that all together. Rushed through making them. Took them to FedEx the next day. I was like, I need these shipped overnight. And the lady's like, that's going to be like $250.
Yep,
I'm like,
it's really expensive.
If this works out, it will be worth it. And she's like, okay. She's like, I like that attitude, but okay.
I wanna interject right at this very point because it reminds me of a time when I was going over I'm originally from Bulgaria. I was going over there for a wedding. Yeah.
Awesome. No, I adore Bulgaria. From what I've done research on of it. Just like the cultural, I did like a whole school report on it when I was in like elementary school because I was in love with Victor Krum. Bulgaria.
and you hopefully quickly found out that he is not representative of anything except the name.
But it was Bulgaria, so I was like, it was either that and somebody else had already taken Japan. So anyway, continue with your story.
Amazing, I love it. So I was going over there for a friend of mine's wedding, and my choice of gift was replica of Narsil, which is the sword that became Aragorn's sword.
Yeah.
And the replica itself cost maybe like $150 or something like that. If I wanted to ship that with UPS? Not UPS. What's the
USPS?
Not the U one. The D.
FedEx?
No. It's a
DHL.
DHL. Yeah, that's the one.
It's one of them.
So if I wanted to ship it with that, the shipping would have been like $600.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what I ended up doing was the sword was my checked-in luggage.
Yep.
On my flight there. And I showed up at the airport.
Now you're still on your back.
It was a box. I showed up with a box, and which was, by the way, like not it did not fit the dimensions that they say checked-in luggage should have. But
so
I'm
it's an oversized thing.
Yeah, because it's like
it's huge.
Long. It's long. But maybe they'll be okay, and they ended up being okay. They didn't even like make me pay extra. No one looked at me funny for flying with a sword.
Excellent.
So
that's awesome.
Moral of the story is shipping is
really expensive. Just going to Australia is like, I'm just gonna bring an extra checked luggage and just fill it with stuff that I want to buy in Australia, and I'll just bring it back to America.
Yep.
Like groceries.
Well, and that's actually the interesting thing is DHL gives us a really steep discount through Shopify. And so I feel for my international friends, and I'm so sorry that, shipping can cost you anywhere from $70 to $100, but they're actually getting a discount from like $350, $400.
Oh.
So yes, that's a lot of money, but it's way less than it could have been had it been not a Shopify label.
Oof.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm very happy I've never actually had to charge anybody or pay for a full DHL shipping label because it's ridiculously expensive. Great shipping company, but really expensive.
So you ship these off to Dragonsteel?
Yes, and so I probably didn't need to do overnight, but I did. Because they ended up, not even checking it out until like a week later when they were opening boxes or something. But I was like, but I did my part. And you know how much I want this, so here you go. And they're like, we like it. Brandon likes it. Isaac likes it. Which I mean, I was like, ooh, both of them like it. This is awesome.
That's so. Because
I mean, like Isaac was like an added bonus because I mean, it's his art,
right?
And so I was like, Isaac's even seeing this, which being somebody who takes things and turns them into a wood medium. But having seen some of my own stuff be turned into other mediums, I'm like, this is so cool. Like somebody was fan enough of this thing that I made to turn it into something else. So, I mean, I don't know. I was having a little bit of a fangirl moment. It was like, surrealism. It still took a couple months though, because they were also waiting on the coins to be finalized, which the coins ended up causing a lot of problems, which I don't know if some of you remember. But I shipped out a lot of orders before the coin's final fit was determined.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Valentina didn't realize I had. And she's like, so the main coins mostly fit. They're like, it's just a little snug, but the wit coin doesn't fit at all. So I had to remake and reship. It was something like 100 or 150. It was a lot. Extra wit boxes. So some people out there have an extra wit box, which means they have an old wit box without an acrylic sheet in it, because I was like, I'm not going to send the acrylic sheet with this because you already have it. I was trying to save a little bit of money.
I might have an extra.
Yeah, there you go. So some people ended up even using the first one that they got and just flipped their second wit coin around or something.
So do I have one of the ones that are snug because that's why the coins rotate when putting in the acrylic sheet? You do,
yes.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty much all the original 300-ish orders that were in 2020 are the snug fit. I determined that, the fit was still okay. It wasn't enough to make them unusable. It just was a bit snug and maybe a little bit annoying. So I did end up fixing it a little bit later on and added just a little bit more depth, which I feel bad because I'd love to be able to redo these for everybody who has that snug fit, but so far nobody's complained about it.
Yeah, the only problem is on these old ones, which this is like such a first world. It's like, oh, I'm an early adopter, and mine, like, you, it's just really hard to get the coins to align because So I'm like, you know what? This is as good as it's going to do. I'm never taking off this acrylic ever again. Ever.
And there have been some fixes. So some people use double-sided tape, just like very basic double-sided tape keeps it in place. Or even like that kind of tacky stuff that you can use to like put posters up on walls, that gray tack.
Yep.
I know one person actually took a sander to it and sanded it down. He's like, I have the coins on it. He's like, I don't need the symbols behind it. He's like,
doesn't need to look
he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't care. You do whatever you want to make it work for you.
Yeah.
And one person ended up 3D printing very thin rings that fit inside it so that when they have it face side down, it doesn't wobble. So there's like some very thin rings that go around it so it holds it in place so that it doesn't wobble and stuff. Yeah. So then, months passed and finally we got to the point where it's like, okay, we've worked out the agreement. I will scan an agreement with a fine tooth comb. I was like, I am reading every single word in this agreement. And Valentina's like, go for it. She's like, that's good. And so I was reading it. I sent it back and I was like, here's a couple of things. And they're like, okay, so when do you plan to launch? I think it was November, right? I started in like a November.
It was like November, December. I don't quite remember.
End of year, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it was in November. So it was like November 18th. It was one of those days in November. And I was like at 12 p.m. And that day comes and I'm like, I've been slowly figuring out how to actually market things. Originally, I was just tagging 100 people on Twitter. And I was like, okay, we can't keep doing this. So, and then I was writing, newsletters on Google Docs and sending those as a link to people on Twitter. I was like, okay, you know what? We're doing a real newsletter on Shopify. I was like, if you guys want further updates, you're going to have to sign up on Shopify. And it's funny because actually like a couple months ago, someone sent me an email and was like, hey, did these ever launch? They're like, you haven't tagged me on Twitter in like 2 years.
Oh no.
I was like,
oh no.
I'm sorry, but also I'm confused.
I mean, that's fair if that's what you were doing before, but like also,
yes, but I did make it super obvious. I was like, I'm not going to be tagging on Twitter anymore. I did it like 5 times. But anyway, so launched it onto Shopify, only to have 3 people sending me a message. It's sold out already? And I was like, oh, crap. Because what I had done before was I had the listing up, but I had it set to 0 in stock. And so then I forgot to change it from 0 in stock to unlimited stock. So I was like, no, it's okay. It's okay. I was like, here, it's ready now. And then I started getting orders and someone was like, you're already at 1,000 orders? I was like, no.
I think that was me.
Yeah, actually, it might have been you.
Because I got like 1,002 or 1,003 was my order number.
Yes.
Did they just start at 1,000?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Shopify will start any new store at order 1,000.
Okay.
Which I didn't know. Otherwise, I actually would have started it at 0. You can change what number it will start at. So and
you were probably freaking out for like over 1,000 orders. What?
No. Well, I mean, I could see that it was only 1, 2, 5, 10, okay. But whatever. And it was funny because I actually got messages like that quite a few times over the next few days. They're like, "Wow, Carly's already at like 1,050 orders," and I was like, "I'm not. I promise you," because I'd probably start crying. But orders just kept coming in and like I was actually crying. Like I had expected 50, maybe 100 orders grand total over the 2 years because I was like, I'm a nobody. I just happened to be able to get a license. I happened to make something that looks cool and is actually useful. And that's the reason this worked, is because it's something I love to do, but it also looked good and it was practical. Like people now had something to put their coins in. But I was like crying. My husband's supposed to be sleeping because he's working that night and he keeps coming out and he's like, people keep buying stuff. I can't sleep. like Sander fans, holy crap.
Yeah,
like,
biggest Kickstarter ever, there's no big deal,
Yeah, no, just whatever. But like, and I had only just started reading the books like a couple years prior to that. Started actually with Mistborn, because my husband was like, he's like, I know you love books and I know your style of reading. He's like, but I do think you should still start with Mistborn and then read Way of Kings. So it's like, okay. And we had the mass market paperback version, which is like this, but super fat.
Yep.
Of Way of Kings.
Of Way of Kings, not Mistborn.
Not a Mistborn.
Yeah.
And so like I'm looking at it, I'm like, I could do that in like 3 or 4 days. He's like, just start with Mistborn, okay?
You get it in 2 if you aren't doing anything else.
Yeah.
And your kids don't bother you much, I guess.
I mean, I was in the middle of like my last 2 years of college and kids and stuff like that. So there, yes, it would have been more like 3 or 4 days. Yeah. And then funny story, I bought him the hardcover of Way of Kings for Christmas a couple years after that. And I wrapped our old one, and that was his present. And he takes it and he's like, this is our book. We already own this, because I put the new one on the shelf. And he didn't notice.
That's really funny. So like there have been a few phases of orders, right?
Yes,
for this, because there was some in 2020, and then you had to stop for a while, and then you got to reopen orders some other time, and then this is like the 3rd time orders are open. Am I getting that right?
So it's been a bit of a road journey, I suppose I could say. It's a so I took the initial pre-orders from that November to the end of that December of 2020, and it was something like 304, something like that. And I can remember this because everybody who pre-ordered got those numbered cards. So the pre-ordered people have numbered displays. And then I expected, because I had counted the time on how long it takes to cut all of these pieces and how long it takes to assemble all of these pieces. That was not a good estimate, because it didn't take into account all of the prep time and all of the changing out the stuff to put in the next thing time. And then assembling 100 is very different from assembling 1.
Yeah. Yep.
So I had originally guesstimated like the end of February. Things didn't really start going out until April or May. But I tried to keep everybody in the loop. Everybody was really understanding, and I really appreciated that.
You had very clear communication on those Dragonwood Shop newsletters, and I appreciate it. It's important
to me, because I hate when people, even if it's a no to a question I have or something I want to do, just tell me so that I can move on. Yeah. And so it bugs me.
Sorry. Do you want to go work for Dynamite?
What was that? You didn't hear that.
I think I don't remember if I reopened for orders before those initial ones shipped out. I don't think I did. I think I waited until those were all done, and then I started taking new orders again. And I've learned so much about how to run a business and how to make displays from doing all of this, because I think I opened up for another like 100 or something. And then that filled up really quick. And then basically what I had done was I started opening up in more manageable amounts that I was like, I know I can finish this set amount within this time period. And 50 ended up actually working out really well, because I give about a month for all supplies to come in case of any issues, because usually there's back ordered on something. In fact, right now I have something already back ordered. And then I could do 50 every 2 months, which I know for some people, they're like, that's not a lot, except it takes about 10 hours per thing, which is about a day.
Right.
So it's actually about as much as I can do with only one machine.
Right.
Being handmade stuff, they always take so long.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I mean, you guys can see that these are layered, but even if you have the display, you don't actually know how many layers go into this thing. Like there's the prep, which is where I used to be sanding and finishing and safety taping everything. But I found a wood supplier that has the same shades of wood as what I was using originally, but it's already sanded and finished. I just need to safety tape it. Which, if for those who don't know what lasers do, they tend to leave behind a bit of residue when they're cutting because, I mean, it's an open flame, right? So I apply a very low tack protective tape, it's transfer tape, onto the surface. So then I can peel that away and it gets rid of the laser burn. That's why a lot of these are really clean lines. You may look at some other laser things and there's kind of like this weird, darkish kind of tar smokiness on edges. I don't have that on mine because I apply protective tape.
Sure.
It bugs me that people leave this on there. So I've really been able to kind of hone in on the whole process. And with this last 46 orders that are actually going to be shipping out end of next week, as opposed to the end of the year, they will be, I was assembling them as every cut was done. Instead of letting all the cuts finish and then assembling those parts, I was actually, because my youngest is now a little bit older, so she doesn't need me constantly watching her. So now I can actually be in the office working a little bit more while she's, coloring the walls or something. So that's actually been going really well. So having found a new supplier, having fixed my my assembly line, so to speak, and then also at the very beginning, because of how much support the Sander fans, you guys, everybody who pre-ordered, I was able to get a better machine as opposed to the Glowforge, which sped up the cut time and all of that, which was fantastic. And I'm not worried about it breaking every 2 months like my Glowforge did. Like, I've put this thing through its paces. This thing works more than a full-time job. And it's perfect. Yeah. And so I would open up, 50 orders every once in a while, and, this is when it will be fulfilled by, and people have been really, really okay with it. And I post updates onto Twitter. I'm like, 20% completed, 40% completed. Here's kind of like a behind the scenes look. Here's a different angle. Cause I know a lot of people receive their displays and they're like, I didn't realize how much depth there was to this.
There's literally depth inside this. It is really cool. It's awesome. And so it's been so much fun interacting with the Sander fans though too. Like, people will send me emails. They're like, I just wanted to say thank you, or like, I just wanted to say this is really cool, and people will leave reviews. And I've also launched a couple of other products in between. So I did like a card display. I did the coaster display. So I've sold a few different things for people to be able to display other swag that they've gotten. And like this, it really has been a journey. I know that's a little corny to say because journey before destination, but this has been such a crazy journey. Like, little me got licensed by one of my favorite authors. Like, that's really surreal for me. And there was even a point where Brandon had my display on one of his podcasts or his live streams or whatever. And I'm like sitting there. I'm like, is he gonna like lift it up and show it to people? Like, he's looking at it and I'm like, I see the corner. It's like, that's mine. And he picked it up at one point and I was like, but he handed it off screen to like Isaac to get the coins out so that they could show the coins. I was like, dang it. Yeah.
So close.
But he did link me in his stay to Sanderson. And everybody in the Discords has just been like so awesome, and people have been sharing these, and I do the newsletter every month. I'm not like a newsletter. I'm going to spam people every week. I mean, King's Wild Project does one every week, but that's because they have so much stuff. But I'm like, sure. I have a once a month update, maybe twice a month. And I even like apologize. I'm like, I know I just sent out an email and I'm so sorry for bugging you. But this is a little important.
That I appreciate that, because there are some companies that's like, hey, you want to get emails every day. I'm like, absolutely not. Like,
no.
If you are restrained in your emails, then I don't unsubscribe from you. But if you spam me, then I will absolutely not look at any of these. So
why are you unsubscribing from this mailing list? Because the email frequency is higher than what I expected.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, I don't need to know about this for the 4th time. I'm good. I'm set. I get it. I'm sure there are analytics that it's useful. Yeah.
And this is very much in line with like Brandon's philosophy on newsletters. His are even more like in this last year when we've had so many huge announcements. He's sent like 2. I was gonna say 4, but
2 or 3.
I mean, there'll be like another one for, hey, Lost Metal came out. What's up?
Yeah.
Hey, I haven't books about it.
Well, I know they just did one to tell people about the miniatures. There was a newsletter that went out.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I will subscribe to something, usually because I'm trying to enter a giveaway. And then I'll like save on my calendar. I'm like, wait, can I unsubscribe from this? And it usually just goes into spam too. I actually, as a business owner, here's a pro tip. Check your spam box every once in a while, because sometimes things will go there that are not intended. And I actually had something go in there that was like, I had won like $500 from a giveaway I'd entered, but it went to spam. So I was like, and it was like the day before I had the last chance to email them and say, yes, I want it.
And that's because email filters learn that if an email says you've won some money,
right? Exactly.
It's probably a scam.
It's usually But also I get a lot of customer emails that will go in there, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, like I didn't respond earlier, but you got sent to spam for some reason, and I am sorry. Yeah. So pro tip: check your spam every once in a while.
That's useful. I would accept. I get like thousands of spam emails every day, so I'm like, if you get to my spam mailbox, tough. Like
that's true. That's true. Unless you just have an exorbitant amount. I have like 7 different emails though, so everything's very sectionalized. So my spam box doesn't fill up quite like that. I get maybe like 30 a day, but that's usually because it's like Twitter. And I'm like, I've told you to stop sending me emails. And Twitter's like, you want more?
Yeah, Twitter is not good at that.
No.
I do want to go back to talking about like things that you make. Right?
Yes.
Sure.
One of my questions was going to be the thing that we've talked about for the past hour, which is the process of how all of this thing happens. But I'm curious, let's say you decide to build something, whether it is the coin display, whether it is the coasters or whatever else you might want to do. And we're talking about like a licensed product.
Okay.
How much freedom do you have in like choosing how you build the thing? So like we're talking visual design. Obviously you chose the double eye of the Almighty. So that was something you had control over. But things like material, type of wood, color, finishing, shape.
Yeah, so I mean, I gave them what was a completed design, and they're like, "Yep, that's good." They didn't really have any feedback for changes or anything, other than they're like, this is a little bit tight. Maybe figure out a way to fix that, which was a little belated because I shipped before they. It wasn't that I was waiting on an okay. I just don't think Valentina had expected me to ship them already. Because it was also like, it was taking a while. It was like, I have people waiting on orders. Like I'm supposed to be fulfilling these. So I was like, I'm just going to start shipping these out. So it really is just, I come to them with a completed product, or I came to them with a completed product, and they were just like, yeah, this is good. Like,
let's do it.
Continue. And so I've made general improvements as I found new wood suppliers, as, that kind of the natural progress of a business, right? But it's all been the same, like wood species and colors and stuff, because I didn't want to change any of that later on. A lot of that decision had to do with the original company that I was using, which I buy all of my MDF wood from them now, but I don't get like the plywoods from them anymore because I have a different supplier who now finishes and sands it for me, so I don't have to. The original colors came from what I had access to through that company, which they had mahogany, cherry, walnut, and maple. And it worked relatively well with the original Double Eye of the Almighty art. There was like two-toned Larkins. It was kind of a darker background. Had I known I had more colorful woods to work with, which I have only found in the last few months, there might have been a bit more color to it. Like maybe some grays or blues or, whatever. Like I don't have the Isaac's art in front of me right now, but there could have been other colors. But these colors also have really good contrast, kind of that reddish background with the light pinkish red wood and the dark brown wood. And the maple's really one of the best ones to engrave because you get a black engraving on a whitish wood. So that was just a no-brainer for the borders. My husband isn't necessarily a fan of the lighter wood, and so his favorite's actually the coaster display because it's so simple and it lets the original art shine. But with the Eye of Stormlight displays, we wanted that to be more of an actual display. Like, this is holding these gorgeous coins. The display needs to match it.
It needs to fit the art.
Yeah, it needs to fit the art. Whereas, like, let's say, Brotherwise, right? Like, theirs was probably a very intimate discussion of, like, what kind of materials should we use? Like, what kind of color schemes are we going to do for the pre-painted figures and stuff like that? But for me, who's hand maker and wasn't going to be mass producing these, though it feels like a mass production sometimes, in a good way, I had like a solid 4-month break, and that helped so much. Like, I am all in on this again.
Sometimes you need a break.
Well, I'm very Brandon minded, or Brandon's minded like me. I need to have multiple projects to work on. And this was the thing that was taking my entire life. And so I was like, there was real fatigue there. And so I had like a solid 4 months where I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to take orders again. But then somebody comes into the collector's Discord and is like, anybody selling their coin display? And I was like, do I make a collector item now?
I mean, kind of, yeah.
Like,
5 years from now, they absolutely will be, yeah. Or like even a year from now.
Yeah, right? And so, and I'd had multiple people send me emails like, are you going to open up again? Are you going to sell it? And I was like, no, I don't think so, because, I have other projects that I want to move on to. And I love y'all for wanting this, but like, my business needs to do something. And I was like, okay, tell you what, guys, if I opened up for 50 orders, who would buy one? And the one guy who's like, can I buy one off of somebody, was like, I would buy it. You know that. And so I was like, okay. And nobody else responded to it in the Discord. So I was like, hey, honey, I'm opening up for another 50 orders.
In their defense, a lot of them probably already have it.
Yes, quite a few of them do. I know that there were some people in the Discord, though, who wanted some still, and somebody wanted a second one, etc. And so I go look over my husband. I was like, hey, honey, I'm opening up for another 50 orders. Like, how do you feel about it? He's like, are you sure? He's like, because I know you have fatigue from this. And I was like, I think I need to, because I do also want people to have this. It's not the money thing or whatever. It's like, I just want people to have something useful. Because I've also, the cost on things has gone up by, percentages. So technically I'm making a lot less now than I did way back then, but I want people to have this just because I think it's cool. And apparently 900 something other people think it's cool. So it's got to be cool, right? Cool. So I opened up another 50 orders and they were gone. 6 hours. And someone comes in, it's like, no, I missed it again.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, like, I didn't expect that. Like, I'd sent out the newsletter. I had responded to the people on Etsy and Reddit who had asked about it. I was like, just letting you know, if you still wanted one, it's coming. And they're like, yes. So I was like, okay. So then they were gone. And then those 50 were supposed to be done by the end of this year, and actually are going to be done in a week. I'm just waiting on the new insert cards. And, I had a lot of other people be like, are you going to sell any more yet? Like, this was supposed to be the last 50. I told everybody this is the last 50, because also if I sold more than that, I'd have to pay Dragonsteel again for the next licensing fee.
Right.
Because every 100 units, I have to pay them a certain fee.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I was trying to keep under that because I was like, I don't want to pay another, I guess I'll just say it, I don't want to pay another $800. But then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm feeling good, because I had started already making the displays again. I was like, I'm actually feeling really good. I'm back in my mojo. Like, I'm loving doing this again. I'm loving the people. Like, let's just see. Because I was also under the impression I had to ship everything by the end of the year.
Right.
So I didn't want to take too many orders and get past that point. So I emailed Valentina. I was like, can I take orders through the end of the year if I can't ship them until into 2023? And she's like, yes. So I was like, okay. That actually changes a lot. I can take more orders and I don't need to be as concerned about rushing or ruining something. And so I was like, all right, turn to my husband again. Honey, how do you feel if I opened up orders again indefinitely until not indefinitely, unlimited orders until the end of the year when my license runs out? He's like, are you sure? And I mean, this is really what our conversations are. It's more, he's a good soundboard. I love him. And so we talked it through. He's like, what if you go over that limit and you have to pay him again? I was like, well, yeah, but it takes this many displays in order to break even on that. He's like, okay. And so I was like, all right, we're doing this. And so this is literally the final months to order, though, because my license is done at midnight, December 3rd, so 11:59 p.m., December 31st of this year. It will not be renewed. Dragonsteel does not want to renew it. I don't think there's any value in renewing it anyway. I've been selling these for almost 2 years. If you haven't gotten one by now, then you must be a very new Sanderson fan.
But especially so further from the Kickstarter, right?
Yes, and further from the Kickstarter, those who have wanted one will have got the one that they wanted, and that's that. So
there's going to be the Words of Radiance Kickstarter next year, so that's probably why they don't want to renew it. I don't know. So I wanted to ask, how did you get into woodwork and laser cutting? Because we haven't talked about that. You seem to know exactly how to do this, really, right?
Well, I like to think I know what I'm doing. At least I haven't burned down a house yet, so there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
I've always been in like a crafter and a maker and stuff like that. Not exactly the greatest. Like I've made my own attempts at various different mediums. Like, I mean, I even was doing, just before I started woodworking, was armor. I was doing dragon scale and chainmail armor pieces and stuff. So like dragon tails and like chest pieces and all that kind of stuff. Like I made some really sweet stuff.
They take so long.
Oh yeah, no, it did. It was very much. It was when I was actually pregnant with Cassie. So I had a lot of time on my hands, and
What am I gonna do? Armor.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was like I finished my homework. Let's work on some more armor stuff. I made some really cool stuff. I'm just saying, and it's very shiny and clinky and colorful and what's not to love. I started with armor and stuff because I was doing an entrepreneurship class and we had to start a business. So I was like, okay, I'm starting a business on that. And that was going okay. It actually made a decent amount of money that my husband was like, honey, I'd like to actually try Glowforge. And for those who don't know what a Glowforge is, it's more of a tabletop laser machine that can etch, engrave, cut things like wood and leather and plastics, and can mark metals if you treat the metal properly, and stuff like that. It's very much a gateway machine into laser work. And I'm sure loads of you, pretty much everybody has seen something that's made with a laser, like little ornaments, earrings, necklace pieces, wall art, that kind of stuff. A lot of things are being made with lasers. And so I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't really know the first thing about designing, which was kind of stupid of me to say because I was in web design as my degree, which graduated as a web designer, but use it primarily for graphic design at this point.
Sure.
Turns out graphic design translates really well into laser work.
Into a lot of things, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's surprising actually how much it goes into. Like, I do logos and banners and that kind of stuff for various people who commission me, but using Adobe Illustrator and other systems, but I use Adobe Illustrator, you save your design as something called an SVG, a scalable vector graphic. And that is basically a series of codes that say from this point to that point to this point to that point, etc. And it's almost like a connect the dot kind of thing.
Yep.
You send that SVG to the machine and you tell it what you want it to do with those dots. Do you want it to engrave that series of dots? Do you want it to cut along that series of dots? Do you want it to score, which is like a very light cut? So it doesn't cut all the way through, just enough on the surface to make a design. And it'll do it. CNCs follow the exact same kind of thing. So I got into woodworking. I created a Sellers of Catan board, which has been through about 15 iterations at this point. I was doing leather bracelets. I was doing ornaments. A lot of like small things, which is where Dragonwood Gifts came from. Giftable small items, making, coasters, ornaments, serving trays, that kind of stuff. And it went pretty well. I mean, it ended up making enough that I could pay off most of the machine based on the money I'd earned. And that was over a couple of years, though. Some people are like, I'm a success story and I've paid off my machine in only 1 month. I'm like, kudos to you. Like, honestly, kudos to you. Because do what you love, but do what you love in a way that is useful for other people. Because I've seen how many people, my friends, they'll be like, but I love my little crocheted things. Why is nobody buying it? It's like, because nobody wants it. Which is terrible to say. It's terrible to say, but that's kind of the thing, is you have to find something you love doing that's also, if you want to run a business, other people need to want it too.
Some markets are very niche markets.
Oh, yes. And finding that market's hard too. Yep. So like with my coin display, it was the perfect blend of everything. Like, I love to craft and people needed something to show off their coins in. I didn't anticipate that me sharing the display I made for myself would turn into 5 people wanted to buy it. I talked to Dragonsteel and now I've made like 900. So that was never the intention, but it worked apparently. And had I not started with a Glowforge, I never would have made the initial prototype. I never would have been able to contact Brandon. Honestly, it's all thanks to my husband because I tried to talk him out of it.
We should do this.
Thanks, honey.
Awesome. And so how long had you been working on this before the display?
I started my armor crafting in like 2017.
Mm-hmm. And when did you get the Glowforge? Yeah.
So it was like middle of 2018 is when I got the machine, the Glowforge. And then it was thanks to everybody who's ordered. I was able to upgrade to a Trotec, Speedy 100 for anybody who wants to know, because have at it. Trotec Speedy 100, I got that in 2019. This is 2022. I sold through 2020. Okay, so end of 2020, after everybody had been placing their orders, is when I was able to upgrade to the Trotec. And I was actually able to sell my Glowforge because it had been newly refurbished, so it was basically new. I was actually able to sell it to somebody who was local, who was trying to upgrade their business a little bit by adding custom cutout invitation cards and stuff.
Nice.
And so that was kind of cool. I was like, I can help you with that.
Perfect.
Yeah, and so I've been woodworking for 4 years now.
Cool.
Then, yeah,
awesome.
We've been sitting for a long time, and we can chat with you for a long time because you were a lot of fun to spend time with.
I'm sorry, I'm a rambler too.
Easy to talk to.
I don't get a lot of adult interaction.
We wouldn't know anything about having ramblers on the show.
Liking talking? I don't know.
But we should move this into the closing act.
Yes, we should.
And we started off by talking about your journey to this point. So I think it would be interesting to see where you plan to or where you would like to go in the near future. Let's say not to go like full corporate. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? But like Dragonsteel is going to continue producing stuff. Mm-hmm. We've got a Kickstarter coming up in less than a year, probably. Mm-hmm. Summer 2023 is probably when that's going to land. So do you have ideas for future projects you would like to do, either directly licensed or something like the coaster display, which is, it doesn't look licensed because it's just like it holds.
It is just a generic coaster display for any square coaster 3.5 inches.
That can fit the coasters from the Way of Kings on Kickstarter.
It just happens. But I mean, I also have like a set of coasters that were like made by another local company that I've put in there as well. So
sure.
I mean, it works. It's cute.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm like constantly designing new projects, and a lot of them never see the light of day beyond the light of my computer screen. But I have, I want to continue to have Dragonwoodshop especially be something more for the collectors, a collector's display store. So I mean, I did the card displays, and those went really well. I mean, obviously nowhere near as exciting as something that's, officially licensed or whatever, but it went really well because I mean, people are like, I have a card deck and I don't want to actually use the cards, but I want to see what they look like. And I know other card displays exist, but I really appreciate that people were willing to support, me, even though it might have been a bit more expensive than like your plastic one you could get on Amazon or something. So I mean, I'll continue to make generic displays that can fit, Dragonsteel products, that can fit Wild Kings project products, that can fit, my next door neighbor's products, whatever. Like, I want this to be where people can come and they're like, I have this really cool thing that's just sitting in a drawer looking at you.
Raffle cards display.
Yeah.
Market it as a business cards display.
Well, and like I just did an art card display for Flamecraft. And I have that on my website. They have little slightly smaller than postcard sized art cards that came with anybody who supported the campaign. And the one of the guys who's one of the creators, he's like, we may have to buy that for our office. And I was like, I can do that. So I mean, various collection things, but I've also got slide these out. I got my bookends that do not require license. I have cleared this with Dragonsteel, so please nobody be concerned. I've had multiple people actually throughout this whole process, like they will message me and be like, are you licensed? Like, it says officially licensed, which I get. I mean, they're like, I've never heard of you before. I've never heard of the people who are making that DM screen either. Doesn't mean I'm going to question it. But I've got these bookends that'll be coming in January. And they are layered wood pieces of black and white. And they have this nice, this is like a grippy kind of felt. You can't see down here, but it doesn't skid.
I'm totally not writing this down and going to immediately tell my wife when we're done recording this. It's like, interesting.
These are the ones that are on your store right now.
Yes, the Swirling Thoughts, they will be available. I'm planning for January, but I'm actually considering asking my husband what his thoughts are on this. As you can tell, we talk through a lot of stuff. Maybe launching those sooner, just so that I can make sure they don't interfere with construction time of the coin displays. But it'll probably still be January. And I mean, they're not heavy. they're not like Brandon's dragon bookends that he has, but they're fairly solid. And this grippy tape it's not tape, it's adhesive on one side, but it's not tape. It's actually really kind of cool. Like you can try to skid it across something and it just won't.
Excellent.
So I've got those that are coming, and I mean I'd of course love to just make more stuff. Like that's kind of the dream, right? Of a crafter is just let's make more stuff. So I mean, Dragonsteel ever has anything else that I can get a license for, I'd love to do that, especially now that I've really honed a lot of my processes. Had I known everything back then that I know now, you guys actually would have been getting your orders like February and March as opposed to April and May. Like,
it's just like you learn more as you do it and get more efficient as you do.
Like
right?
I've found not better supplies, but supplies that don't take me as much time to prep. I found a better way of putting things together, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, there's things in the works. I have a pin Kickstarter that I'm launching in November just for some like super cute little animal designs. I have, so I'm trying various things. Not necessarily just to see what sticks, but it's because it's like, this is something that I truly love that I have made, and I just like to, try it out. And so pins, because I'm a pin collector.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, the last question for you, we were talking a bit before we started recording of just all the other things you do. So do you want to tell the audience a bit more of just other things that aren't related to woodworking that you do, which it was more than I expected. To pitch to the audience.
So there's the pins that I'm hoping to make that an actual thing. I've got the animal, I call them the Wild Companions pin collection. And they're really cute. They're kind of like geometric, quilted kind of themed animals, endangered species as well. But I have another pin design that I'm hoping to launch in January if this one goes well. That's like based on tropes that you find in everyday books and stuff. So the romance tropes and the fantasy tropes and stuff, because they're funny. I also I'm a graphic designer by trade. I do logos and banners. I'm brand manager for a gaming news source called Gaming Source Network. I also do drop shipping for apparel and accessories through Ready Gamer 1 on Etsy, where I've taken a lot of the things that I love. So Pokemon, Horizon Zero Dawn, etc. There's going to be some God of War stuff soon, and people can buy those on hoodies and pillows and blankets and mugs. I play piano. I like to read.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I also have a wholly side wood business I call the Amber Glade that's going through a severe revamp right now. That was supposed to be geared more towards like realtors and stuff like that. They're more like high end things, like things that you would gift to somebody as a present for their wedding, or they're buying a house. So like nice cutting boards and nice coasters and stuff like that. So kind of the more high end stuff. But that needs a serious revamp. So that'll be back sometime next year. But I do a lot. And my husband and I work on a comic. It's called Haunting Zombies. My Instagram is filled with beautiful cutting boards and dorky little comics. Like that is my Instagram feed, and the occasional Cosmere artist.
We'll have to put that in the description. So
yes.
Send me a link to it.
Yeah, so we're working on a comic together called Haunting Zombies, which is a ghost haunting his own zombie body. Because why not?
I have heard this idea somewhere.
It's been floated around by various other sources, but I was like, nobody's actually doing anything with it, so we decided to create Haunting Zombies. Yeah.
Perfect.
I may have heard that on like one of Brandon's podcasts, actually.
Oh, really?
Just as
I found it
writing idea.
I found it as a Facebook post, as a writing idea.
No.
There's so many clever people on the internet that I'm like, you have this brilliant idea. Why aren't you doing anything with it?
That's
doing is hard.
Yeah, it's because ideas are cheap and doing is hard.
Ideas are cheap.
Yep. Ideas are really cheap.
This is true.
Yep. Like, I want to make a coin display case. Well, it's like, yeah, but how? That's the hard part. Right?
Somebody was like, what do you use to stick everything together? Because they're like, because it's not glue, and it's actually not glue. That's what I made the original prototypes with. It's a special double-sided tape that's meant for wood-to-wood applications.
Oh, okay, cool.
And they're like, cool, where can I buy it? I'm like, it's like $150 a roll. And they're like, oh, not an investment I'm ready to make yet.
Yeah. It's more definitely a pro thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can buy it because I know how much I use from each roll and how much goes into it. Whereas like if somebody's like, I want to make this one thing. I'm like, well, you might as well just use glue.
Yeah. Use wood glue. Yeah. Wood glue is great.
It is.
Awesome. Any last things you want to say to everyone, Carly?
It's never too early and it will never be too late to achieve your dreams. That's what I want to say.
Awesome.
It doesn't matter if you're starting now. Doesn't matter if you started ages ago. Make it happen.
Nice. Lovely. Well, thank you so much for coming on here. Thanks for everyone for listening in on this. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing about this process. And again, if you want this, and you got to go to the end of the year, and that'll be it.
Or this
and that
for that.
Not
which
the
they don't sell
project.
separately. I have had multiple questions. I should put that in there. The wood box doesn't sell separately. It's part of the license.
Gotcha.
But I'm happy to take any custom commissions for other things.
Coins
Also, coins not included.
Coins not included.
Yes,
that's right.
Coins not included. I don't want anybody to be confused about that either.
Coins are more expensive than the case.
In your experience, are these standard challenge coin sizes? Like if one of our listeners has like challenge coins from whatever, can they shove those on display?
I would say that 1.5 inch diameter is very typical. I think my Thor coin is 1.5 inch. I have another challenge coin that's like 1.75. It kind of fluctuates between 1.25 and 1.75. Because when you hit 2 inch, that's when you start incurring higher fees.
I getcha.
I'd say 1.5 is fairly common, especially for people who are doing things like a pack of them like this.
Cool.
Yeah, though the thickness, that is not typical because they are molded on the face side. They have an extra point where the nose is. And so that extra thickness, it's usually only about as thick as where it is at the rim. Where it is in the center, that's thicker than usual. So if your concern is that maybe they won't fit that direction, which I know some of the earlier displays do have some slight snugness to them, any standard coins will fit unless they have some weird molding to them as well.
Cool. Well, get those now. I'm very happy with it. And I think they're a great display case. So
thank you.
And
thanks for having me, guys.
I will be buying those pattern bookends probably, almost assuredly.
They're not pattern bookends. I can't call them that.
That's true.
And in fact, like I told Valentina, I was like, these are very generic designs. These aren't based on the books. These aren't based on actual pattern. Yes. And she's like, you can sell them. She's like, I don't see a problem with that as long as you don't reference Stormlight Archive, pattern, cryptics in any way. I was like, deal.
Cool. Well, totally not cryptics bookends that I can pretend in my heart are. Okay.
Yes, you can.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, stay tuned. There's plenty more content coming your way. And thanks so much for having us, Carly.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to 17th Shard.
Boom. Nice.
Hit the bell.
You support us on Patreon for as little as $1.
Gently tap that bell.
No, smash the bell. Smash that bell. Get notifications for our stuff. Lost Metal's coming soon. Lots of stuff coming.
I was watching Game Theory's video, and MatPat said that there is a measurable improvement in user engagement when you use non-generic phrases to ask your users to like apply a call to action.
Punch the like button on your screen.
Hit the bell. Generic doesn't get people to engage.
Mm-hmm.
Lash the bell to the ceiling.
I have a hammer on my desk. Don't
like
ask
a
why.
Get
an actual bell.
Make topical things. Yeah, make an actual. I don't have it.
There's one person my husband watches on YouTube, and he will say things like, "Very gently tap that bell because we don't want to be mean to it." So he kind of makes a game of it.
Nice.
And it works.
Nice.
Yeah, it does.
See y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.